Hi friends, namaste. Dr. Lorre here, and for those of you who don't know me, I embody a lot of different roles as a multidimensional being, and well, I have done a lot of work and research as a scientist and a nurse, and authored a book to help nurses heal from nurse-related trauma. I also, as part of that work, downloaded a lot of codes, healing codes, for another expression of this human form is in the spiritual realm, where I spend most of my time, actually. I have a foot in either world. So we just finished our first morning practice, and I'm still sort of aspirating on the coffee from meditation. So for those of you who heard me coughing in morning practice, as you see behind here my altar, we lit that together and we meditated together, and we are all co-creating, and I am inviting you to co-create with me a very new project, which is called the Sovereign Codes for Spiritual Awakening. And I am being guided to expand and receive these codes and share them with anyone who is ready to accelerate and embody their awakening process. As we know, spiritual awakening is really, it's a matter of preparedness, and then it's grace. We can't control it, we can't schedule it, we can't, it is all in divine right order and divine right timing when that happens, which may be in this lifetime or another. So I show up every day and have for over 35 years as a healer and channel and spiritual counselor and teacher. And I am just bringing all of this into your living room, trusting that it gets to the people who are ready to receive the transmissions that are coming through. So let's talk a little bit about what came through today. And the word that came through was sovereignty. So I'm going to invite you to drop in the comments your experience with sovereignty, what that means to you, what challenges arise, what confusion there may be about really in sovereignty in the most divine sense of that word. So what came through in our morning practice today was the sovereignty is our true divine essence. It's our innate blueprint from the nanosecond, and maybe whatever increment of time is even smaller than a nanosecond, from when sperm meets egg and there's that spark that is the beginning of this soul's expression in this body, in this lifetime, in this time and space. And then to that, overlays and overlays and overlays of conditioning, trauma, cultural ways of knowing, and not all of it negative. I mean, life is rich with a myriad of different experiences and expressions, and all of those are layers that are added, but they aren't us. They're experiences. They aren't our divine essence. And so part of the human experiencing is what I call the great remembrance. The great remembrance of who we are in our divinity, who we are in our sovereignty, who we are as our soul, having an expression in this form at this time, and what that looks like and what that feels like. So the sovereignty, what was coming through, and it's an extension of what I've been working with for at least 6 months. I have been working with the grids, the energetic grids that lie deep, deep, deep within the earth. And these grids, for lack of a better term, and I know this is a sensitive term, and I offer it with such reverence and compassion, is that embedded deep within the earth, and I'm talking within mountains, under lakes, under bodies of water, like really deep in the earth, are these rigid energetic structures known as slave programming. And the slave programming, if you have ever seen a house be constructed, it's the rebar that goes into the foundation. You know, those steel rods that are arranged, kind of in perpendicular, kind of makes a grid, right? To provide strength for that cement that will form the foundation of the house. And so deep, deep within the earth are these old, antiquated grids. And for lack of a better word, the word that comes through is slave programming. So I'm going to relate this as it comes through me, and without any of the social conventions or of any particular word. So please just know I'm conveying what's coming through, and it may not always represent my belief systems and challenges my belief systems, right? Or gives me an occasion to examine deeper. And so I'm going to make that same invitation to you. So what we have under the earth is this slave programming, and now we have entered into the age of Aquarius, and it is everything is shifting. Everything is shifting in a way that we have been talking about when I was a little girl in the 1960s. There was a song called The Age of Aquarius. We sang it at school, which I don't think, it was a popular song at the time, and I'm pretty sure that my primary school educators were not attuned to the grander context of what that was. For to sing that in a public school would have been unusual for those times. So here we are in the age of Aquarius, and for the past, it's been 6 months for sure, maybe 7. And I'm coming to you with this particular transmission November 26, 2024. And so one of the things that I've been tasked to do, and when I say tasked, I mean that is coming through the other side. The messages come through my higher self, beyond the veil. I get messages from my angels, my higher self, ascended masters, guides, ancestors, indigenous ancestors, and a whole host of other light beings. Oftentimes I don't have the level of discernment to see the origin of but I recognize the universal light language and these symbols as truth of the highest Christ consciousness. So, that all being said, I have for several months I have traveled extensively and have been in meditation in various places in Northern California and Southern Oregon and Idaho, where I am a part of the dismantling of these slave grids. And so what they wanted me to show you is imagine that rebar and the programming of that we must always be working, we must always be producing, we must always be contributing, paying taxes. And I'm not saying that any of that is bad, but it is a conditioning that has brought in duality and leverages the ego and power structures so that humans have power over one another. And that is not sovereign and that is not divine. And so part of the Age of Aquarius is the deconstruction of the slave programming grids that lay deep within the earth. And if we take those, and I'm going to try and use my fingers, okay? Let's see if I can do it with just maybe 2 fingers. There we go. Okay, so if I can get it. So see how it's kind of a square in the middle here? All right, that's what a bazillion of these under the earth. And they're laying in the earth, deep in the earth, in this horizontal plane. But what I was asked to show you today is that really, if we rotate them energetically, which is how they work, then they're like prison cells that are keeping us feeling stuck, broken, overworked, running as fast as we can on that hamster wheel with no end in sight, just to earn more money, to produce more, to consume more. It's human as doing rather than human as being, and we need a balance of both. But we're all very skewed in the human as doing. And I'm drawing that terminology from Eckhart Tolle. So for those of you who have studied with Eckhart Tolle, that will be very familiar to you. So this morning what was coming through was the question for each of you to explore that slave programming that may be affecting you. And in its place, the sovereignty, what's coming through there, they are sacred geometries that I lack the skill set to draw. I have tried many times. They're complex, multidimensional shapes, but think of it if they were sort of like coin shaped, only they were plump coins. Like if coins were made out of jello. No, if coins were made out of marshmallows, where there's that kind of softness to it, but there's still form, and they're spherical. Spherical / discs. So if you could blow up a quarter, if you could put a straw in a quarter and put some air in it and kind of puff it out, that's what it would be, only out of this sort of jello marshmallow softness, right? And within those sacred geometries are the sovereign codes. And there were different codes, different healing codes that were downloaded for when I was writing, and they are embedded in the book that I wrote, Nursing Our Healer's Heart. And it's a great book for trauma healing. It was written for nurses because I am a nurse scholar and scientist for my professional role. And now I'm being asked to make the codes that come through me explicit in service to all, as part of my light working expression in this form at this time. So the reflection for you to contemplate until our next morning practice is, what does slave programming feel like in your body, mind, or essence of who you are? And what does sovereignty feel like in your body, mind, or essence? And notice the difference between the two. And it's not always clear, and sometimes, I've been contemplating these big questions for over 40 years, right? It is all part of our process. But if we come together and we share in a collective awakening that is very conscious and intentional, as we reclaim our sovereign empowerment, reclaim that from the grid, the slave programming grid, as we usher in the Age of Aquarius, the softer, sovereign, balanced, equitable way of cooperative living instead of that competitive, coercive power over one another human paradigm. So if you're interested to learn more, drop your name in the comments, or just let me know that you would like to be added to the list. Each week I will be sending out a questionnaire, one question, open-ended question. What does this mean to you? Whatever codes we are downloading together, any challenges that you might be having, etc. You can visit my website at drlorrelaws.com, drlorrelaws.com, and there will be a form there for you to click, and you can get on my list, and you can help me co-create this next project, which is a 4-part series oracle deck where we together will co-create the sovereign codes for spiritual awakening, and we will go through that process together. Again, it is a matter of grace if and when that happens in any particular lifetime, but we can show up and prepare ourselves and avail ourselves and open ourselves and spiritually expand to be in alignment with that grace. So from my healer's heart to yours, and until next time, namaste.